Okay, those who are having problem, you can go offline now. So in continuation with the previous session, that is, we have seen about next generation sequencing technologies. Now we'll look at the third option of genome sequencing strategies. That is, we have seen the first option of genome sequencing strategies is shotgun, second as hierarchical genome sequencing, and third one as high throughput sequencing. Okay, so now we are continuing that third one as high throughput sequencing now. Okay, so there are three genome sequencing strategies you have to remember. First one is shotgun, second one is hierarchical genome sequencing, and third one is high throughput sequencing. And now we'll look at the high throughput sequencing. Okay, so as usual, the contents for this session is introduction, object for the session or lecture, what is high throughput sequencing, and summary. Okay, so what is high throughput sequencing? So high throughput sequencing is nothing but using machine directly instead of getting the sequences done in the lab and generating them and sequencing them and then using that. You give just this DNA sample to them, and then the DNA sample will be given to you as a sequence. Okay, so everything is done in a sterile conditions. Everything is done in sterile conditions. When you do that in that mode, then it is known as high throughput sequencing. And two important things are here. First one is high throughput means you are giving just the sample at once maximum, and then all your data is turned out into sequence. Okay, so high sample you're giving at once and you get all the data at once. So that is known as high throughput. Okay, and as you're sequencing the DNA, it is known as high throughput sequencing. Now, what are they? So the first, as per the previous next generation sequencing technologies, from second generation, we have seen machines coming out. Okay, in the second generation, the first machine which has come out is nothing but Illumina sequencing machine. That is Illumina 454 sequencing. Okay, that was the first methodology which was used for high throughput sequencing. Now, apart from Illumina, we have seen another machine which has come as 454. And third one which I've seen is ion torrent sequencing. All of them are part of second generation sequencing technologies. Okay, all of them are part of second generation sequencing technologies. So whatever are there from second generation to fifth generation, all of them are referred as high throughput sequencing. Now, what do we do here? So in high throughput sequencing, thousands to millions of sequencing reactions can be run at once. Okay, simply based on your sequence, that if it is a bacteria, thousands of reactions will be there. If it is a human genome or a mammal or a plant, higher end angiosperm, then millions of sequencing reactions will be done. So thousands to millions of sequencing reactions which are done parallelly at once. Okay, so you get the output at once for the whole genome. And the advantage with this high throughput sequencing is that we have low data error, and there are very few drawbacks with this. Mostly you can say there are no drawbacks. This is okay. So HTS has a high error rate, and HTS generates sequence fragments only. A template must be used, known as genome sequence. So in the fourth generation sequencing or from third generation nanopore sequencing, you said that we'll be using template strand, then complement strand to sequence it. But most of the HTSs, first what they do is first they generate data by using a template strand that is from 3' to 5'. After getting the data for all the 3' to 5', then they go with 5' to 3', the complement strand. Okay, so in this you can avoid the error. Whatever we say, if you HTS as a high error rate. Okay, its only error is rate high when you use only template read but not the complement read. Okay, so this whole thing is will sum up to give you a high throughput sequence. So what is high throughput sequencing is running thousands to millions of sequencing runs reactions at once. Okay, at once. That is known as high throughput sequencing, where we generate high throughput sequences. Okay. So the object of this today's session is to discuss in detail about different high throughput sequencing. Okay, different high throughput sequencing. Okay, so here this is what is actually the output for high throughput sequencing. Okay. Earlier, actually, we have learned only about DNA genome sequencing. Okay, DNA genome sequencing. But actually, your high throughput sequencing also, apart from the DNA, it goes through all these things. Okay, it goes through all these things. That is from genome to epigenome to transcriptome to proteome to metabolome and to phenome. All these studies are done using high throughput sequencing. Okay, so what we do here is first for genome sequencing, we use all these technologies. What we use, except the first generation sequencing technologies, we use all of them. What are they? Second generation sequencing technologies, third generation sequencing technologies, fourth generation sequencing technologies, and fifth generation sequencing technologies. Can any one of you now? So all of you on your videos now? Yes. Don't waste the time on your videos. I cannot repeat it. On your videos immediately. Okay. So now I'll ask you four different persons about each generation technology, and you have to tell me the information about them. All of you on your videos? Balaji, you can off it. Rest of you on. Except Balaji, rest of you on your videos. Srinivas, Gopi Krishna, Elisha, Kirti. So it can't be the same thing for others also. Elisha, Kirti, Irana, Sri Mahalakshmi, all of you on your videos. Okay, Sivashagar.
Sir,
What are the second generation sequencing technologies? Just
sir,
list out.
445,
Four.
454, sir.
Okay. 454.
454 sequencing and
Yes. All of you on your videos till this session is till I share my PPT. Don't close them. Continue, Susagar. I've completed the session. Now you have to tell me what are the second generation sequencing technologies.
sir, I remember only one, sir.
Gurudeepak, what are the other four? Gurudeepak.
Sorry, sir. The bar is just going on and off. So
Okay, it's not a problem. Tell me. Your audio is enough to me. Others on your videos.
sir, can you repeat the question, please?
What are the second generation sequencing technologies which we have learned? Just name them. Yes, Gunadeepak.
Sir. Sir, Illumina
Illumina.
454 and
Yes. What are the other two?
sir, solid system.
I asked you about second generation sequencing technologies. Hmm? Okay, 1009. Can you tell what are the second generation sequencing technologies?
But only two. Lumina, but
I'm not able to hear.
I just remember only two, sir.
Yes, tell me then.
Lumina and 450,
Yes.
454, sir.
No, I'm not able to get you.
454, sir.
4.
454, sir.
Okay. Then
I remember only those two, sir.
at least you must be writing something because it's off online class. At least the main points you should write. And even I shared the videos, I think. Next week you have your exams. If this is the condition, and you have to write, it's not quiz again. Okay. So the second generation sequencing technologies, they include Roche 454 sequencing, ion torrent sequencing, Illumina sequencing, and ABI solid sequencing. This is what we have learned previously, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Now, others, I ask you to keep your videos on. Don't close it, it's not over. Sri Mahalakshmi.
Yes, sir.
Now, what are the third generation sequencing technologies?
Sir, SMRT,
Little bit louder.
SMRT sequencing.
What do you mean by SMRT?
Like specific biosciences.
What is that?
Sir,
What is that? What you said?
specific biosciences from SMRT sequencing, I remember, sir.
Yeah, what do you mean by SMRT? I'm asking you about what do you mean by SMRT?
So, I don't remember, sir.
Okay. So all of you on your videos first.
Nanopore sequencing, sir.
Okay. Nanopore sequencing. So SMRT and nanopore sequencing. SMRT is single molecule real-time sequencing. Okay. And
Yes.
nanopore sequencing using nanotechnology for nanopore. I mean, developing a nanopore, and that nanopore is actually used for sequencing your genome. Okay. These are the two technologies which are available for genome sequencing for third generation. Now, Anjali Tiwari. Anjali Tiwari. Anjali Tagore. Okay, meanwhile, Kirti.
Sir,
On your video first. Yes. What are the fourth generation sequencing technologies which are used now? Yes. Kirti.
sir, I didn't remember.
So the people are not following class. I did not ask you the methodology. I'm just asking you the names. Okay. I'm only asking you just the names to remember. If I ask you the steps, then you say, okay, I don't remember. But if you don't remember the names means, then it's very clear that you're not listening to the classes. You're just keeping your videos on and just moving out. Or just keeping your videos on and just doing whatever you want. Anything can happen. Okay, Elisha.
Biological nano.
Elisha,
Yes, sir.
what are the fourth generation sequencing technologies? All of you on your videos.
Biological nanopore. Solid
Yes.
state.
Biological.
Biological nanopore technology and solid state.
Yes, biological nanopore sequencing technology and solid state nanopore sequencing technology. Okay. Next. Arshita,
Sir,
what are the fifth generation sequencing technologies?
four, five, row sequencing and colony sequencing.
Yesterday only I think I took the class. Yesterday or day before yesterday? Srinivas,
Sir,
what are the fifth generation sequencing technologies?
sir, high field nanopore sequencing of ultra short DNA and cyclomics and ultra sensitive nanopore sequencing.
Yeah. Can you repeat it once again? All of you carefully listen.
Sir, high field nanopore sequencing of ultra short DNA, sir,
Okay.
and cyclomics and ultra sensitive nanopore sequencing, sir.
Yeah. So it is high fidelity nanopore sequencing of ultra short DNA targets and ultra sensitive nanopore sequencing of cell-free tumor DNA. Okay. So these are the fifth generation sequencing
Generation.
technologies which are available to us. Okay. So at this moment, we are using all these second to fifth generation sequencing technologies to sequence the genome. Okay. Apart from that, not only your genome can be sequenced, these technologies are also used for generating the data of your epigenome, transcriptome, proteome, metabolome, phenome. Okay, so now we see what are the other sequencing technologies which are how we are using others. So I'll share the screen again. So all these five generation sequencing technologies, the four generations, right from second to fifth till date, they can be used to generate your genome data. Okay, they can be used to generate your genome data. Now, the other things what we are doing here is, so the first one is what we're doing with genome data. Okay, so the technology what we're using for genome data from the next generation sequencing is nothing but, here you can see it is array, it is microarrays, DNA sequencing, that is we use whole genome sequencing, which is known as WGS. Okay, whole genome sequencing. Then WES, whole exome sequencing. I think you people are aware of this intron and exon, as I explained the gene in eukaryote. Are you aware of this? Are you aware?
Yes, sir.
Prokaryote, I mean eukaryotic genes, they have both introns and exons. Okay, so when coming to us, especially in cancer diagnostics, we'll not look at the introns and we only sequence the exon part. And if we sequence the whole exons of the human genome, then we call it as whole exome sequencing. Okay, whole exome sequencing or whole exon sequencing. Whole genome sequencing, whole exome sequencing. Okay, so that is what we do with the exome sequencing. Okay, then single cell DNA sequencing. So generally what we do is we go for multiple cells which we isolate from a body and we only take that. So generally we take a blood sample, broad blood sample, and we from the blood we isolate the DNA, and from that DNA will be used separately. But here, if you want to differentiate the DNA which is different in different cells, that is, assume that each organelle may have a difference in their genome. Okay. So how we can do that? So why do we require here? So are people aware of two aspects, that are morphological cells and reproductive cells, they have different genomes? Are you people aware of that? That are morphological cells and reproductive cells, or you can say gonadal cells,
Yes,
there
sir.
will be a little bit difference in the genome, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Because
Yes, sir.
genome cells, gonadal cells, they'll try to take all the mutations to the next generation, but morphological cells will not take them. Okay, so this difference is there, and that's why people first make just a morphological sequencing, that is whole genome sequencing, and if they are interested to see what happens to the next generation, what mutations are accumulated in that person, and what they can be used in the next generation, they'll look at gonadal cells. Maybe they may take your ova or sperm and try to analyze the genome and then check out what is the difference, what mutations can be inherited by that next progeny. Okay, so there what we do is we'll do single cell analysis. So take a single cell and we look what type of genome is existing in that single cell. That will actually give you the difference. Okay, so single cell DNA sequencing is another one. And your Illumina 454, all of them are based on Sanger. So Sanger sequence. Okay, all of them are actually based on that. So genome sequencing is done using microarray, using DNA sequencing, that is whole genome sequencing, whole exome sequencing, and single cell DNA sequencing, and Sanger sequencing. So what do you get as data? So technology is this. What do you get as data? We get raw sequence, that's all. And ATGC, which is a raw sequence, you'll get it. Okay, so that is one output from genome data. Now, what is the actual output? Actual output is when you do all these things, you will try to identify single nucleotide polymorphism, that is S and P, whether what is that single nucleotide which is actually changing within different persons and giving you a variation. Okay, or single nucleotide variants C and V's. Okay, single nucleotide variants C and V's actually. And indels, what are the sequences which are actually deleted, or what are the sequences which are actually inserted newly in that organism? That is what we get. So outputs, we have three: single nucleotide polymorphism, single nucleotide variants, and indels, large fragments which are either deleted or inserted in that organism. Okay, this is the overall output what we get while sequencing the genome. Okay, so what should we do here? Considerations. What careful consideration we should do is we should actually make a complete sequence alignment. We should see that the genome is completely assembled and the genome is completely annotated, and we should make a variant discovery based on the information which is available either from SNPs, either from CNVs, or either from indels. We take all these three into consideration and then we see what is the variance between two persons. Okay, so at this moment, human genome variation is considered based on these 3 points: single nucleotide variations, single nucleotide variants, and indels, either inserted sequences or deleted sequences. Okay, so this is about your sequence alignment. Clear? So these are the considerations what we should take while we are going on with genome sequencing. So what is the output here? When we go with the WGS, that is whole genome sequencing, that is at this moment is used for actually diagnosis and treatment of resistance in tuberculosis, okay, and cancer also. Diagnosis and treatment on resistant tuberculosis and cancer, both of them. In both of them, whole genome sequencing is especially used. Okay, and WES, whole exome sequencing. So we try to identify what are the genes which are causing the diseases. Okay, and they're linked to at this moment intellectual disability. Okay, when intellectual disability is there, we can take into consideration this whole exome sequencing and get the data of why there is an intellectual disability is there. Okay, and treatment resistance to malaria. Okay, another one is treatment resistant to malaria. So these are the clinical and research applications what we have at this moment for genome. Okay, what we have at this moment for genome. Okay, so with this genome, we are using the NGS data and we're getting the raw data, and we look at the output, we get the output, raw output as single nucleotide polymorphisms, single nucleotide variants, and insertions or deletions of major fragments. Then we have a variant discovery. Overall things is that variant discovery will help us in diagnosis and treatment of various diseases and understanding the other aspects, why there is an intellectual disability, or how we can treat an organism. Okay, so this is about high throughput sequencing of genome. Now the second aspect what we have is about epigenome. Okay, so what we'll do here is we'll stop here. We'll take a break for 5 minutes. Okay, and then we'll join at 9:45. Clear? So we'll join back at 9:45.
Yes, sir.
Okay then. Okay, welcome back to session. So all of you are there online again? Yes or no? Just raise your hands. Only 4? Okay. So assuming that you are here, I'll continue with class. Okay. So previously we have seen about genome. Now we'll see about epigenome. Now said that what is genome and what is epigenome? Genome is nothing but the DNA sequences, raw DNA sequences which are there, and they can express. But we have a control on which gene to be expressed and which gene not to be expressed in the, because we have 2 pairs of genomes which we get from parents. Each one in the pair, one we get from mother and one we get from father. But if you have seen already and observed right from your childhood, any one of the character either from mother or from father is expressed, isn't it? Do you agree with this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, any one of the character is expressed either from your mother or either from your father if you take a character. So this is already known to you and you might be observed this right from your childhood. Now how this is happening? Okay, and that happening event is known as epigenetic mechanism. So the gene which is being expressed in you, I mean the character which you get from your mother or father is expressed, is made free, and those which is not expressed is made suppressed. That means that gene should be off. So on and off mechanism is there for the gene. So if you want to look at the off and on mechanism of your genes which are there in you, then we go for data which is known as epigenome. So if you're looking at all the genes which are there in you and in the pair, which are on and which are off, then you have to know this. Okay, so for that we use 2 types of technologies, which is known as array, microarray. Second one is chip sequencing, chromatin immunoprecipitation sequencing. Third one is whole genome bisulfite sequencing. Okay, whole genome bisulfite sequencing. So these are the sequencing technologies which are available. Okay, and what they give? As usually they give raw sequence. And what you see, wherever the gene is off, that is methylated. Wherever the gene is expressing, that is not methylated. So you get DNA methylation binding sites. So if your gene from your parent is not expressing, means that gene is methylated. Okay, if the gene from your parent is expressing, means that is not methylated. So if you look at all the set of genes which are being expressed, you will find methylation pattern or DNA methylation binding sites. Okay, so your epigenome will give you this data, and so from the genome and epigenome, we'll know that what are the genes what we have. Okay, in genome, what is the variation we have, and then coming to epigenome, which genes are actually expressing in you, which genes from parents, from genes which are expressing from your mother or genes which you got from your father, which of them are expressing. That is the data what you get from epigenome. Okay, now the third one what we have is transcriptome. So we said that these genes are known for expression. Okay, if these genes are known for expression, now whether they're expressing or not. Okay, whether they're expressing or not. And we know that a gene is there, and the gene will be expressed in the form of transcript. And the whole complement of whatever genes which are not methylated and are expressed in an individual, they are nothing but transcriptome. Okay, they are nothing but transcriptome. Again, we can use this next generation technologies to capture this transcriptome of all the genes which are being expressed at that particular time and that for that particular condition. This thing applies. Okay, for that particular time and for that particular condition, what genes are being expressed. And if you get the data, the whole complement is known as transcriptome. Okay, the whole complement is known as transcriptome. Now, what do you get from this transcriptome? So, transcriptome is again the technology which is used is microarray, which you'll learn later, RNA sequencing, okay, single cell sequencing, and Sanger sequencing. All these technologies will actually tell you how a transcript can be sequenced or the whole transcriptome can be sequenced. What do you get? Again, raw signals, okay, your 4 nucleotides, you get it. Then what do you know? What is the gene which is being expressed? Your mRNA or your microRNA expression? Okay, you get 2 outputs here, your mRNA and your microRNA. So if you get this through high throughput, the whole transcript data is known as transcriptome. Okay, so what do you get? What all genes are expressed? First thing, what all genes are expressed in quantities. So a gene is expressed in what quantity? That's the second thing. So 2 important aspects you get. What are all the genes which are expressed and what quantity the genes which are expressed? Okay, with this you can know that a gene is present and a gene can express and a gene is expressed. Okay, this is what we do. And what is it? So mostly transcriptome sequencing is actually useful for studying cancer. Okay, so already mRNA sequencing is used in metastatic disease in lung cancer. What I mean, sequencing the whole data for metastatic lung cancer, and also in prognosis and prediction of pancreatic cancer, esophageal cancer, and prostate cancers. So high throughput sequencing of transcriptome is actually useful here. Okay, and the next one, you know what is that? It's nothing but, so when a gene is being expressed, you get an RNA molecule, nothing but transcript, and this transcript is actually translated to a protein, and the complement of the whole protein which are expressed at that second for a particular condition is known as proteome. Okay, and proteome is also can be generated, but the technology which is used to generate proteome, it is LCMS, mass spectra, and array, microarray. Okay, so what do you get here? Mass spectra data and images of proteins which are expressed. Then what do you know? Protein sequence which is being expressed. Okay, protein sequence which is being expressed. This is the output. Now, what do you understand better? You can understand the sequence of protein, what is the structure of a protein, what is the function of a protein, to what this protein is interacting, okay, and in what quantity is this protein produced. This is the output, what we get from that. Sequence, structure, function, interaction, and quantity of the protein. Now, what is this used for? This is actually used mostly for treatment. Microarray is used for treatment of retinal diseases. Okay, and LCMS is actually used to identify the bone erosion in rheumatoid. I think you people know what is rheumatoid arthritis. Okay, arthritis is where your kneecaps are, eroded, where your bone is degraded there. Okay, so LCMS can be used here to understand how the bone erosion has happened in rheumatoid arthritis. Okay, and the last aspect of the high throughput data is nothing but Metabloom, and here we use mass spectra and we generate mass spectra data, and what we get is metabolites as an output. And what we understand is what metabolites are there. Okay, now what we can do, even this is also used for understanding the cancer and other metabolic syndromes. Okay, now what we do is in Phenome is we have the data which is being expressed, that is clinical and pathological data of a disease. Now we correlate all this genome, epigenome, transcriptome, proteome, and metabolome data with its clinico-pathological data, which is already established. Okay, between the response and the non-response. That means those persons who are having a disease and those persons who are healthy, thus phenotypic characters are compared. Then you will get how a disease is actually manifested. Okay, so at each and every step, different technologies are used to generate genome, epigenome, transcriptome, proteome, and metabolome. So if you use the next generation technologies and all these other technologies which are there at epigenome, transcriptome, proteome, metabolome, and phenome, then you call this whole thing as high throughput sequencing. Okay, this whole thing is known as high throughput sequencing. Now, all of you on your videos? Okay, others, Pavani? So now what we have learned is, we have learned that data can be generated from the genome, first information, then conversion of the genome as epigenome. We know how to generate the data, okay, for the whole epigenome. So thing is, we have genes, and what genes can be expressed is the first question. So we'll get the list, what are all the genes which are present in individual which can be expressed. That is while doing an epigenome. Now, the third aspect is transcriptome. Now we'll know that there is a chance for these genes to be expressed, and in transcriptome we'll know what genes are actually expressed for that particular condition. Transcriptome sequencing we call as. Now, once we know what are the genes which are being expressed, we'll know what expression is actually converting to protein. So gene can express, but it cannot convert to protein always, because tRNA, rRNA, they are not converted to proteins. Only mRNA is converted. So they will understand that what genes are being converted, what genes are not being converted to protein. Then proteins will not act as of them. They have to be modified. So we'll know what proteins are there, what modifications are done in the form of secondary or catabolism or metabolism. So post-translational modifications, catabolism or metabolism. All these will give you metabolites. Products will be metabolites. And those metabolites are known as metabolome. So there we'll get all the metabolites which are expressed at that condition and that moment. Okay. And then we'll get the next aspect, which is nothing but phenome, which is being there. That is, we'll take all the extra morphological features which are expressed outside and we'll correlate them with our previous data. Genome, epigenome, transcriptome, proteome, metabolome, interactome, and then we'll get how they are connected to that phenotype. Okay, and already there are two higher end organizations which are working on to connect this genome to phenome data. Okay, genome to phenome data. So if you can go online, just give the gene. It will give you what gene is that, what whether it is methylated or not, whether it is being expressed into RNA, whether it is being converted to protein, what metabolite it is there, and what phenotype is there. Okay, and the tool there is, which is known as genome to phenome. Okay, genome to phenome, and these two are available with two different organizations. In West, it is available with MIT. Okay, MIT Institute, and in East, in Japan, it's available with RIKEN, RIKEN, RIKEN. Okay, these two organizations have developed this tool based on high throughput data for human genome, right from genome to phenome. So if you have any doubt, you can go there, just type a gene and you can understand what phenotype it will give finally. So it show you all the part: gene, epigene, transcript, protein, metabolite, interaction, and then the phenotype. Okay, there you can get all the data related to that. Okay, so when you do all these aspects, you study in this level, then this is known as high throughput sequencing. Okay, so this is the third part of genome sequencing strategies. First one is what? Shotgun genome sequencing. Second one is hierarchical genome sequencing, and third one is high throughput genome sequencing. In the first two aspects, you only sequence the genome. In third one, we sequence other parts also. Clear? I think I made it clear everything. With this, genome sequencing strategy is over, and then we move on with tool assemblies, genome assembly, genome annotation. So in the next class, we'll meet on those aspects. Okay? So,
Sir,
yeah.
sir, we have mids from 24th about the portion that we're gonna have.
Till that Friday, whatever class is there, that will be included to your exam.
Okay, sir.
Okay? Because it is 1.5 unit I have to give, and I did not complete even 1 unit also.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So till Friday, whatever classes I take, that syllabus will be included.
Yes, sir.
Clear? Okay. Okay then. Bye. Thank you and have a nice day.